What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style OG. And on today's video, we're going to discuss 10 signs you might be depressed. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends, like George Jordan, salute. Now, depression is a very common but serious mood condition that can present itself with some very serious symptoms. And although both men and women experience depression, it may present itself very differently in us fellas. And that's what I want to talk to you about on today's video. On today's video, we're going to go over 10 different signs that if you're experiencing or someone you know is experiencing, it could be a possibility they're suffering from depression. And if you find yourself with several of the signs on this list, it may be a sign you need some help. So without any further delay, let's hop right into it. Now, one of the signs you'll definitely see in a person who might be depressed is anger and aggressiveness. Now, don't get me wrong, we all get angry from time to time, but this type of anger is much more intense and it's out of control. You may find that your anger has a very rapid onset and it's much more intense than normal. You can find yourself angry at your circumstances, angry at yourself, angry at other people. Do you find yourself being overly aggressive and hostile towards other people? Do you find that your anger is very straining on your relationships? You could be depressed. Now remember, we all get angry from time to time. That's a normal emotion. But is yours out of control, irrationally hostile, and overly aggressive? You could be depressed. Another sign you definitely should pay attention to: have you noticed a change in your energy level or your sleep patterns? This could be a sign of depression. You may find that lately you find it difficult to fall asleep at night and stay asleep. Do you find that you have excessive daytime sleepiness or you're sleeping too long? What you really want to pay attention to is a change in the frequency, whether it's too much or too little. Often happen with sleep and depression, it becomes a vicious cycle. Your sleep patterns are affected because you're depressed, and you can become more depressed because you're not sleeping enough. So if you find yourself abnormally tired and your sleep patterns are way off, you could be depressed. Now, if you're dealing with depression or any other mental health concern, I don't recommend you try to fix it on your own. Get some outside help. And if you're someone who wants that help in the privacy of your own home, I highly recommend you get that help from today's video sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, is a great online resource that assesses your needs and matches you with a licensed professional therapist. It's not a crisis line, it's not a self-help line. It's licensed professional counseling done online. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, and it's very easy to get started. All you do is fill out a short questionnaire with some very general questions that are done anonymously. You just give some background information about the issues you would like to deal with in your online therapy. Then BetterHelp matches you with the therapist most suitable for you. You'll get timely, thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. And a great bonus about BetterHelp, it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling. All you have to do is go to betterhelp.com/styleog and you'll get 10% off your first month. Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from reaching your goals? Join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional counselor at betterhelp.com. Now, have you noticed that lately you find yourself withdrawing from your friends and family? This could be another sign you're suffering from a bout of depression. What can often happen when people are depressed, they find themselves isolating themselves. They don't have the energy or desire to spend time with other people. Now, we all need our alone time, but what you want to pay attention to, do you find an even stronger and more intense desire to isolate yourself, to not want to deal with other people? Just don't feel the need or the want to engage with your friends or family. This could be a sign of depression. So just do a little self-reflection. Do you socialize a lot less? Do you find yourself alone much more than usual? You could be depressed. Another sign you definitely should be aware of that could indicate a problem with depression: Do you find yourself not engaging in formally pleasurable activities? Here's what I mean. Say, for example, you're someone who loves to shop a lot, or you like to read, you like to exercise, but now you find yourself not wanting to do those formally pleasurable activities hardly at all. This can happen often when you're depressed. Even pleasurable things just aren't as much fun anymore. If you notice a steep decline in you participating in things you like to do, or just having no interest in them, if your desire to do things you like to do has severely decreased, you could be experiencing depression. Another indicator you should pay attention to: have you noticed lately any appetite or weight changes, whether going up or going down? A lot of times when people are dealing with depression, their appetite changes. A lot of times they eat a lot less or don't even bother eating. The other end of the spectrum, some people overeat when they're depressed. They're eating their emotion. They're masking what they're going through with food. And of course, these changes in your appetite, whether an increase or a decrease, could be reflecting in a weight loss or a weight gain. So if you notice lately you're eating a lot more or a lot less and having some changes in your weight, could be a sign of depression. Now, what you'll notice throughout today's video are a lot of behavioral changes that can manifest when you're going through depression. And one you definitely want to pay attention to: do you find yourself engaging in risky behaviors? What can often happen when you're struggling with depression, you can develop a devil-may-care attitude. Start doing risky things you normally wouldn't try. Often when you're going through depression, you value yourself or your life a little less, therefore taking more risks. This is an extreme reaction to a difficult problem. And a lot of depressed people find themselves doing things they never would have thought of doing in the past. This is definitely something you need to be self-aware about. We all do things we shouldn't from time to time, but you know if you're going overboard. If you find yourself doing things you normally wouldn't think of doing, engaging in risky behavior, you could be depressed. Now, engaging in risky behavior is a physical manifestation of depression. Let's talk about another mental one. Do you find yourself having trouble concentrating or even forgetting things? You could be depressed. Now, one of the things that happens with depression, it takes a lot of energy just to get through the day. Sometimes there's not enough energy to be focused, to accomplish tasks. You might even forget to do some. Your focus is just thrown off when you're depressed. You really can't concentrate. Do you find your mind wandering throughout the day? You can't focus or remember small or little things? You could be experiencing a bout of depression. Now, as we mentioned in the beginning of the video, depression is a mood disorder. So naturally, if you're concerned you might be suffering from it, you want to pay attention to any mood changes you're experiencing. For example, do you feel more irritable, restless, anxious? These could all be signs of depression. Now, of course, these are things we all experience from time to time, but do you find yourself experiencing them to a larger and more frequent degree? Are you restless? Are you fidgety? Are you snappy? Are you irritable with other people? Do you feel an increased level of anxiety? These are all signs to pay attention to. And if this happens for an extended period of time, out of the norm for you, you could be depressed. Pay attention if you have mood changes, irritability, restlessness, and increased anxiety. Now, next up is a sign you'll often see when someone is trying to cope with depression. Do you find yourself reaching for alcohol or drugs? What happens a lot of times, you just want to feel numb. The sadness, the gloominess, it's a lot to handle. You may find yourself self-medicating with alcohol or drugs. In fact, over 1/3 of people who are depressed have an alcohol problem. It's a normal human response that if you're suffering some type of pain or sadness, you want to escape, causing you to reach for alcohol or drugs. Again, what you want to pay attention to is behavior out of the norm. A drink here and there is probably normal for you, but if you find yourself increasing the frequency and amount of alcohol or reaching for drugs, this could be a sign of depression. Now, we need to talk about a very serious sign you're dealing with depression. Have you been having suicidal thoughts or even attempted suicide? Yes, depression can get that bad. It often is a cause of people attempting suicide or having suicidal thoughts. This is very serious, and I don't want you to attempt to fix this on your own. But you need to recognize if you're having these type of thoughts. They could be a direct response to you enduring depression. Please get some help. We all get down, we all get sad, we all go through moods. But if your moods or depression are causing you to have suicidal thoughts or even attempt suicide, please get help right away. Depression is a very common but serious mood disorder. It's something you shouldn't take lightly. If you're experiencing one or several of the signs we talked about on today's list and you're concerned you might be depressed, don't hesitate. Reach out and get the help you need.